Hi and welcome to The Venture. I'm Suzi Dafnis. I'm here with Robert Gerrish and Valarie Khoo, and today we're talking about outsourcing. Is it right for your business? Often when we hear the word outsourcing, we think of call centres based in parts of the Middle East or Asia. But outsourcing can be something different than that when we're talking about small business.
Oh, look, most certainly it is, and I think it's. I'm sure a lot of viewers would realise it, but in small business, I think that the number two hot button, the number two thing that's keeping us awake, apart from not having enough clients and enough money, that's number one. Number two is overwhelm, and that's because typically, again, in the small end of town where I come from, it's that trap of I've got to do everything myself. And outsourcing is something that I think is essential to the survival of most businesses. So it's certainly not just call centres out in wherever. It's something that we should be looking at in our businesses constantly. What can I outsource? What can someone do better and cheaper and more effectively than I can do, so that I can focus on the other areas of my business?
That's right. I mean, things like administration, accounting, those sorts of things that, so that you can concentrate on your core expertise and concentrate on building the business. You don't have to be the accountant. You don't have to be the one who's changing your telephone numbers and your addresses and that kind of thing. You need to be able to let go in order to be able to build your business.
And often we don't have the money to bring on a staff member, either part-time or full-time, but maybe we've got a little bit of a budget that we can put towards a project that we know if someone helped us finish would bring more customers in the door.
And I think, and you're right, and it is often a lot of businesses see themselves in a real catch-22, which is, I know I need help, but I don't have the money to do that. And then often, if I sort of put my coach's hat on for a moment, if you kind of look a little bit forwards and say, okay, well, imagine you had the help, then what would be possible? And suddenly opportunities kind of open up. You think, well, yeah, actually, if somebody were doing this for 2 hours a day, I could be doing that. And often there are solutions, and we've never had a kind of a marketplace that we have today where we can buy support so readily. And I'm not talking about overseas support necessarily, but anyway, virtual assistants, the concept of virtual assisting is a wonderful thing, and it means we can buy support kind of when we need it. It's not that we've got a mouth there that needs feeding constantly. We've got someone who's there ready for our kind of overspill, when we have it.
I think people think it's too hard. I think people think that it's going to take even longer to explain to somebody than it is for them to do it themselves. But you have to get over that, and you just have to have the guts to take the leap, and you just have to invest that little bit of time at the start to work out some systems and guidelines for the person that you're outsourcing it to, and just so that you can free yourself up. It's really important if you want to move forward, especially if you're a solo operator.
And now you've used outsourcing in your business.
Yes, definitely, in a whole range of forms. I have a massive to-do pile, and at the moment when it grows really, really big, I have a mobile personal assistant who only spends a couple of days every month. So it's not an ongoing salary that I need to cater for and account for. So it's great to just be able to reduce the to-do pile so that it really just even declutters my mind so I can concentrate on what I need to work on.
And how have you used outsourcing at Flying Solo?
Well, I just got this vision of Valarie, someone coming kicking the door in with a blue flashing light saying, I'm here to save you. Well, we use outsourcing on a constant basis. So all our bookkeeping is outsourced. We have a lot of tasks, basic tasks in our business, editing, sub-editing, website development work that's all outsourced. And it works very efficiently. I mean, you have to have, as Valarie says, you've got to prepare, and you've got to have very, very strong measures in place. But I think as long as you've got the kind of procedures right, and you know how you and the person or persons you're outsourcing to, how they will determine how you'll both determine whether the job is being done the way you want it. As long as those measures are in place, it's a wonderful thing. And I think it's something that you can trial as well these days. You can, not with every aspect of your business, but with some. You can say, okay, well, let me have a look at this. Here's a little project. Let's put this out to somebody and see how that goes. As long as you keep an eye on how things go and you get the structure right, I think it'd be crazy not to look at it.
One of the things we're doing right now is, because sometimes it can take you so long to learn to do something that it just makes more sense to outsource it. So we're doing a big SEO, search engine optimization project. And yes, the team and I could figure it out and go through our Google Analytics and figure out how to do it, but it's just not efficient. No. It's much more efficient to give it to someone who does it in half the time, and outlay a little bit of money to get a result much, much quicker.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the thing with it is if you start to kind of believe that yes, you can outsource, and then you start to proceduralize, write down procedures of even basic tasks in your business, the freedom that it gives you just immediately in your mind when you can see, you know what, I could actually get someone else to do this. Whereas what a lot of business owners do is they hold it saying, well, no one can do this as well as me. I couldn't possibly outsource this. You know, the world's going to end if I don't do it. That's no way to behave. But if we start to get it written down, then I think you can look at it and go, actually, you know what, someone else could do that. And then guess what? We can go on holiday. We can take we can move away from our business, which small businesses always complaining about never having time off. Well, I wonder why.
Yeah, it comes down to having the right guidelines, the right system, and of course the right person. But when you have those three, then it really, really helps you be able to focus on other things. So sometimes it can take a while to get that mix, but it's worth trying, at least worth experimenting with.
Any negatives, any downside that you see?
Well, yeah, there's a couple of risks, and I think probably the biggest risk is there's a difference between outsourcing and abrogating responsibility. You know, and sometimes I think when I've done this in the past, I've talked to business owners and they go, "Oh, you mean I could get someone to do all my bookkeeping? Great, there it is, it's gone." But if you haven't really set the procedure up, then you risk someone, running your business into the ground. So it's important, I think, to understand our tasks first before we outsource them. So I think they're the risk, but also the main thing is measures. You can minimize risks by having agreements in place. And I think expectations, you can't expect someone to dive into your business and do everything the way you want them to do. They will only do that when you help that person. So I think as long as we put effort into that, constantly check it, constantly review, we'll be safe.
I think we do need to have checks and measures, and even whether this is when this job will be delivered, and so we've got a time frame, or this is how much it's going to cost, and you don't have an open-ended estimate going. Those simple things, when put in place, can save us a lot of heartache.
Yeah.
Particularly these days now, and I know this is a slightly contentious issue, but outsourcing overseas through sites like guru.com or Elance and freelancer.com, I think, when somebody is so far away, you really do need those checks and balances and targets and milestones if that's going to work for you.
That's all for today's episode. Let us know, how have you outsourced successfully? Who have you used? Are there services that you would recommend? We'd love to hear from you, and we'll see you next time on The Venture.